All right, Year 7, I'm now going to do the second part of exercise 8E, which is division. Now, hopefully you've done the multiplication first. So you know that when we multiply in algebra, we can dispense, which means we don't need to have the multiplication symbol. Well, we do a similar thing, but not quite the same, with division. Now, please remember that division is also the same as writing as a fraction, which is why we use that symbol. And remember that the line here, the vinculum, and you don't need to know that, but you do need to know that it means divide. So with algebra, when we're dividing, we just tend to write them as a fraction. It just makes it easier. So again, I'm going to do the last column. So let's have a look here. Well, if I'm going to simplify this, and this is what I'm doing, I'm simplifying. I'm going to make it simpler. So I just write it as a fraction. A on 12. And that's it. Here we go. Here's the next one. I'm going to write it over here. Well, I might be able to put it in. Here we go. 5 divided by D is 5 on D. Remember, the second thing goes underneath. The first thing goes on top. Here we go. Now it's all of that. Notice that they've written it in brackets or parentheses. So it's all of that goes on top. So it's 4x plus 1. You can put the parentheses in if you want, but you don't need to. All over 5. You can get rid of the parentheses if you want, but you do not have to. Because the vinculum acts as a grouping symbol, the same way the parentheses do. So I'm not going to write the parentheses for the next one. So it's all of that first thing, x minus 5. That all goes on top, x minus 5. I don't need the parentheses. You can put them in if you want. You don't have to. Divided by all the things in the parentheses underneath, 3 plus b. So as you can see, this is pretty easy. Uh-oh. This is hard. The only thing being divided here is the 5 and the 3. The x isn't being divided at all. So I'm going to write x minus the 5 goes on top of the 3 plus the b. There's no parentheses there. So be careful with that one. Again, we have to be careful here. Here's the only thing being divided. The 6b stays here. And I've got 15b on 3. Now here's our problem. This is hard. This is like simplifying a fraction. These are two numbers that are multiplied. I can simplify the 15 and the 3. Do you remember back when we did fractions? Can you think of a number that goes into 15 and 3? Well, 3 goes into itself once. 3 goes into 15 5 times. So I can write this another way. I can write that as 6b plus 5b on 1. Now, 5b on 1 is just the same as 5b. Look, they show us here. Anything on 1 is just whatever it was on top. And now I've got like terms. So 6b's plus 5b's are 11b's. That was hard. That was hard. The last one there, U, I'm going to do over here because I've run out of room. So here's U. And I've got C minus 2C times 4. Now I've got to be very careful here. The order of operation says that when we do something with numbers, we do grouping symbols first, multiplication or division as we see them left to right, and then addition or subtraction. Well, a pronumeral is standing for a number. It represents a number, so we have to keep the same rules. So I have to do this multiplication first. So I'll write the C minus. Now 2C times 4. We'll multiply the numbers. 8 times 2. 2 times 4 is 8. And then I've got the C. Oh my goodness, this is hard. Because now I've got to deal with negative numbers. I've got C and I'm taking away 8C. Well, remember back to positive and negative numbers? That's going to give me negative 7C. Now that's really hard. If you are able to do that, you are doing very well. Remember, you must do the multiplication or the division first. All right. Now, here we go. I'm going to do the last column here. Now again, this is going to be hard. But again, if you can cancel, it makes it easier. So here we go. First, you need to look at the numbers. Because everything is multiplied top and bottom, there are multiplication signs between all that. I can write, and I'm going to do this one down here. I'm going to do this one over here. 4 times x times y on 2 times x. And I can cancel. What goes into the numbers? Well, 2 goes into itself once, and 2 goes into 4 twice. Now, what goes into x that goes into x? Well, x goes into it's a number. X goes into itself once, and x goes into itself once. Well, what have I got left? Let's do the top. 2 times 1 times y. Well, 2 times 1 is 2, and I've got the y. And underneath, I've got 1 times 1. But we know anything over 1 is just itself. Okay, let's have a look over here. Does anything go into 2 that goes into 5? Well, I'm sorry, no. So I'm going to have to leave the 2 and a 5 alone. I can't cancel or simplify them. Look at the letters. Well, I've got an A on the top and A on the bottom. Can I cancel those? Yes, you can. Which means on the bottom I've got a 5. There's no other letters. And I've got a 2B on the top. Let's do the next one. Let's do the numbers first. Does anything go into 30 that goes into 40? And yes, 10 goes into that 4 times. 10 goes into that 3 times. And that's as low as I can go. So I get 3 on 4. Look at the letters. Can I cancel any of the letters? Yes. Y goes into itself once and Y goes. So I should write 3 times 1, but that's 3. And 4 times 1, well, that's 4. It's done. Let's have a look at this one. Do the numbers first. Does anything go into 3 that goes into 9? Yes. 3 goes into itself once. 3 goes into 9 3 times. So I'm going to get a 3 on top. I don't need to write the 1. You can if you want, but you don't need to. X goes into itself once. X goes into itself once. Well, they've gone. Again, I don't need to write the 1. And there's no other letters. So I've got to have a Y down below. Cancelling is hard. It takes practice. You need to make sure you can do them by doing the first 3 columns as well. Good luck with those.